Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. That is the reason that we are here with you. 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue supporting the broadcast by giving on the link provided on YouTube and on Facebook, and those of you that are using Zelle at T-Mobile on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we want to ensure that anyone who is in need of food has food. So you can contact us through our public charity, New Life Food Source Pantry Incorporated, where you can reach us on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424, and we will provide them with direction and instructions on how they can receive food through our food pantry, New Life Food Source Pantry Incorporated. And of course, if you know anyone, we invite you to come and worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So if you're in our area, come and worship with us at 10 a.m. If you're not in our area, you can invite someone, if you know anyone who's in our area, to come and worship with us at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. I also want to announce, and you'll be seeing it posted on Facebook and on our website, I believe. We are about to celebrate our 20th anniversary, 20th church anniversary at New Life Christian Center. So we invite everyone to come. It is Sunday, March 30th, 2025 at 10 a.m. So we invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. We also want to stay connected with you throughout the week. So I just want to get all of this out of the way. We want to stay connected with you throughout the week through our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. Tune in. Stay with us. You will hear music that encourages you, empowers you, and inspires you. We play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you don't have to be subjected to what the world has to offer, but to what God has to offer through those who will bring music to us. And we provide it on WKAPfaith.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your siblings are quite successful, and you said you are constantly being compared to them without having the same amount of success. It has been difficult, you said it has become difficult to be compared to your siblings. So let me say this to you. Here's the first thing to remember. Congratulations, your siblings are having success. And to God be the glory that success continues. Let's start there. So you want to celebrate them, but you have to run your own race. You say you're constantly being compared to them, but you also are comparing yourself to them. So one of the things you have to realize is that people are going to compare you just because you're siblings, but it doesn't mean that you all are doing the exact same thing. What you have to recognize is that it's not important for you to compare yourself to your siblings. Now here's the good news. When people compare you to your siblings, use it as a source of inspiration. Because here's what you need to know. God is not the respecter of persons. He will do the same thing for you that he's done for them if you trust in the Lord. If you trust in God to work in you and through you. Now you might say, well, my siblings don't have the same relationship with the Lord, so why are they having success? No, you got to remember, at the end of the day, God has allowed them to have success. The enemy will give you success also. And if you don't draw closer to the Lord, that success will become a burden, and that burden will become a curse. You don't want that burden. What you want is your own success, God-given success. Now that doesn't imply that we don't have to work to be successful. That just implies that as you continue to work and God continues to work out in you, as God continues to work through you, then you'll experience your own success. But don't compare your success to their successes. You're in your career. You are having success of your own, but it's a different type of success. It may not be at the same level of your siblings, but you don't have to compare yourself to that. All you have to do is run your race. So I'm going to use an example, and many of you have heard me say that I've run marathons, half marathons, and I will share with you running a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. At the pace I run, the person who comes in first, when I make the turn at 13.1 miles, he's on his way back. He's on his way in. When I say on his way in, he literally is heading towards the finish line when I'm making the turn at the halfway point. I don't ever look at that person who's going to come in first and say, I wish I could do that. I don't ever look at him and compare his race to my race. I don't compare, well, he's 2 hours and a couple of minutes and I'm going to be 4 hours plus coming back. I don't try to run his race. And the reason is because he's trained for that race. I train and for that pace. I've trained at a pace that's comfortable for me. A pace that allows me to run and enjoy my time on the course with God. As painful as it might be sometimes, but the accomplishment of completing the race is what's important to me. So I'm never going to look at him and say, I'm not performing because he's performing at a high level. I'm never going to compare myself to the person who's going to win. You can't compare yourself to your siblings because your win and their win is not the same win. They're winning in their careers. They're winning at this point in their lives. You're winning in your career at this point in your life. The worst thing we can do is compare ourselves to others. Run your race, finish your course. And in the end, you will look at what God has done and lift your hands and say, thank you, Jesus. You'll lift your hands and say, Father, I thank you and I glorify your name. But if you compare yourself to someone else, you're not going to feel like doing that at the end. And the reason is because all you've done is compare yourself. You've never been able to run and enjoy your race. Now, the race of life sometimes is painful. Just like I used the analogy of running a marathon. It doesn't feel good when you're running 26.2 miles. But when you cross the finish line, it feels good, no matter how long it takes you. So no matter how long it takes you to get to the level of success of your siblings or your own level of success, as painful as it might be along the run and along the journey, you'll be able to celebrate at the end. You will be able to lift your hands and say, hallelujah. You'll be able to lift your hands and give God the highest praise because it's over. Don't you put yourself in a situation where you cannot enjoy your race in life, because God is doing something in you also. And here's something that will help all of our listeners and viewers. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You cannot run someone else's race. I will give you another example of that because it's real important that we stop doing that to ourselves. We are part of Pastor Joel Osteen's Champion Network. And I love Pastor Joel. He's doing great work. And he has carried on the legacy of God that his father started. If I compared myself to what Pastor Joel has been accomplishing, to what we've accomplished for the Lord in ministry, there's no comparison. And because I know there's no comparison, why would I even compare myself? So my wife and myself are not Pastor Joel and Pastor Victoria. We have a calling that God has called us to perform in ministry, to a task to carry out in ministry. We're not going to compare ourselves to them because they're carrying a legacy that has been started for so many years earlier. So why would we even compare ourselves to that? All we can do is hope that we can honor God the way they're honoring God. That's all we can do. And rejoice in what God is doing in us and through us. So what I'm going to say to you is stop comparing yourself to your siblings. Focus on running your race, finishing your course. Because there is a crown laid up for you. And you'll get that crown. You will know in the end what God wanted to do in you and through you. Because it will bear fruit. It will be accomplished. So I just want to encourage you today and help you to realize that you don't need to compare yourself to your siblings, even though you see them continuously and you see their success. But don't compare yourself to them because you have a different race to run. And in the end, you'll finish your course. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may have the opportunity to become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I want you to know that this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you are not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com and the White Company located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail stores. They have your retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. You indicated that your sister is married to a man you do not get along with, and it has become difficult to spend time with your sister because she wants to be with her husband most of the time. So you've got to ask yourself this question. Why? Why do you not get along with your sister's husband, your brother-in-law? Why do you not get along with him? What is the reason? Because there was no reason indicated in your communication why you don't get along with him, except the fact that you don't get to spend much time with your sister, as much time with your sister, because she wants to be with her husband most of the time. So you got to ask yourself, what is it that this man has done that does not allow you to get along with him? Because if you were willing to get along with him, he would be willing to get along with you. So if it's because, and it's not, but if it was because you're jealous that you don't get to spend enough time with your sister, there's a way to remedy that. But the real problem is you're jealous because your sister's married and you are not. But your brother-in-law is not trying to hold that against you. So if you really wanted to spend time with them, they would welcome you spending time with them. You don't want to be the third wheel. You want to be able to spend time with your sister without your husband, and your sister's husband would be okay with that. But your sister enjoys being with her husband, and that is her husband. So you have to ask yourself, is it jealousy that is keeping you from spending time with your sister and her husband? Are you jealous because your sister's gotten married? Are you jealous because he's a nice guy and you haven't been dating guys who have been so nice? You got to look at the bigger picture here, because at the end of the day, your brother-in-law would not have a problem with you spending time with him. He really would not. You've really not identified any reason that you cannot get along with him, other than perhaps your attitude. So you got to ask yourself, is it that he's not the problem and you've become the problem? And then you've expressed to your sister that you don't really like him, so consequently, your sister isn't spending as much time with you. We've got to really understand what's going on in our own lives and not what's going on in the lives of someone else. So let's think about this. Your brother-in-law is a man who has married your sister and is, at this point, enjoying his wife because they have not had children yet. But what's going to happen when you continue to perpetuate this thought process that you don't get along with your brother-in-law? What happens when they have children? And now you got nephews or nieces that you don't get to spend much time with because you've indicated that you don't really care for their father. And for no reason. Now you might say, well, you could make up a reason. But he's good to your sister. He treats her well. He loves his wife. And truth be told, he likes you. He doesn't necessarily like the attitude you give him, but he likes you because you're his wife's sister. He may not necessarily approve of some of your personality traits, but it doesn't mean he doesn't like you. But if you were just willing to make some minor adjustments in the way that you approach and interact with him, you would find that you'd have more time to spend with your sister. You would find that you'd have more time to spend with your sister and your brother-in-law. Because they enjoy doing things together, which is going to limit the time you have with your sister if you don't spend time with your brother-in-law also. Because it's your sister's choice to be around her husband. You know, one of the things you gotta remember is that's one of the reasons she married him. Because she enjoys being around him. She enjoys his company. She enjoys the companionship she has with her husband. Doesn't mean she doesn't want to spend time with you. It just means that she wants to include her husband because she enjoys being around her husband. So, having said that, try a different approach. Try an approach that allows you to be included and not excluded. And you'll find that life will be much more pleasant for you. But you can't be jealous that your sister's married and you're not. You just have to accept that she's married and you're not. But you have the opportunity to change that at some point in time. And maybe you'll be better making having your brother-in-law and your sister be your wingmen when you all are out together. But if you don't go out with him, with the two of them, you're probably going to spend less time with your sister, which is one of the things you're having trouble with. You're finding difficult. But it can be addressed. I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, if you know someone that is dealing with food insecurities, have them contact us on our T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will make certain that we give them direction and instruction on how they can receive food from our food pantry at New Life Food Source Pantry. Have them call us on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated, okay, you said men find you to be intimidating. You said you have a successful career with a high income. You are a homeowner. You said you're single and you have no children. Okay. Men don't find you intimidating. Boys find you intimidating. So let me be clear about this. You have been placing yourself in an environment where boys are still trying to become men. Real men don't find you intimidating because you're successful, because real men are successful. Real men don't find your income intimidating because they have their own income. Real men don't find it intimidating that you're a homeowner because they too may own their own home, or they may own a condo, or they may, whatever their choice is for their living arrangements, it works for them. What real men will find a problem with is that not only do you not have children, but you're still single. So the question then becomes, why at this point and at your age are you still single? Because there's someone for everyone. But when you're at this point in your life, 36, single, no children, making a good income, a high income, homeowner, about to be 37, I should say, and you're still single. Not that there's anything wrong with focusing on your career first, but you are saying men are intimidated by you, and that's not what men do. Men don't get intimidated by those things. Men just question, why are you still single? You know, not in a relationship, let alone not married. You haven't been divorced, you haven't been married, you have no children. They're not intimidated, they're just trying to examine why at almost 37 are you single with no children? And you got to ask yourself, what are you doing wrong? Not what's wrong with you, but what are you doing wrong that continues to place you in the environment of boys and not in the presence of men? Because real men are not intimidated by those things you've placed in your communication. They're not intimidated by your success. They're not intimidated by your income. They're not intimidated that you own your own home. You think that it's, something special because you're still single. Men look at it differently. Men look at it as, okay, you're not in a relationship, let alone not married. And if you're married, you'd be off the market. So, newsflash for all the ladies out there. Men, not boys, men are looking to settle into a relationship that will lead to marriage and hopefully, God willing, have children that will carry the legacy. And at this point, you've been in your career for 14 years, almost 15 years. You're having success. You're having it your way, and that's a problem because it's just your way. You got to do, if you want different results, you got to do something different. And it has nothing to do with men being intimidated by you. Yes, you're an attractive woman. You've got it down to a science of the way you want to live, but then you want to be in a relationship, you would like to be married, but your excuse is that men are intimidated. Those are not men. Those are boys that are intimidated. Men don't become intimidated with women who have done things the right way during the course of their life. Men aren't intimidated by it. So you're going to have to get over you and focus on what can you do differently so that you can move forward with what you